Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Chris. Hey, Tina. Thanks for joining. Just getting set up. Hey. All right, we are live. We are recording. So I will get started because I don't want to start late when we have people on. So thank you guys for joining. Welcome. Welcome to my workshop. I have no guest speaker this evening. I will be your guest, I guess. I will be your host and talking to you about stress. And I hope you will be able to take away some little tips and tricks on how to reduce your stress in your life. So before joining, for those of you that don't know who I am, I just want to make sure you guys can see my screen. Okay. I'm going to get going here. Let's go. Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks, Chris, for letting me know. My name is Renay Roberts, and I'm a functional nutrition counselor, a vitality coach, and also a registered hypnotherapist. And I provide one-on-one and group coaching and wellness workshops like this one through my company, Nourish to Live RX. And I help my clients sleep better, gain energy, lose weight, and feel amazing using clean eating, self-care, and mindset principles. So I decided to create this workshop on stress because it's so important to keep our stress low. It can wreak havoc in our lives when we're really stressed out. And, our stress response is responsible for keeping us alive in dangerous situations. But in this day and age, we face so many stressors that our bodies are having trouble turning off our stress reactors. And stress can affect our sleep, our moods, and cause physical ailments in our bodies. And as many of you know, I do focus on sleep, and stress is one of the key factors that cause trouble sleeping, cause people to have trouble getting good quality sleep. So I will hope that you walk away from this workshop with a better understanding of how you can figure out your stressors and how to handle them. So I will get into, I want to talk a little bit about how this is laid out and what I'm going to get into today. So I will talk a little bit about the definition of stress. I won't touch on it very much because I think we all know what stress is. But I will talk about the difference between good stress and bad stress. And yes, there is a good kind of stress. And I'll talk about the impact of stress on our bodies, and then factors that increase our risk of stress. And then I want to talk a little bit about hidden stressors, because there are things out there, there are stressors out there that you may not even know that are stressing you out. And then I'll get into the tips and strategies for managing stress. So at the end, I may ask you guys to, pop on and share one thing that you can change in your life to reduce your level of stress. So like always, just want to get through some logistics. Feel free to ask questions anytime during this session. I'll keep an eye on the chat box here and the Q&A box. It is just me, so I may not be able to see it right away. And I'm also, if you're watching live out of the Facebook group, I am going to keep an eye on that as well. And I just want to make sure I have that up and going. Okay, good. And if you want to ask a question live, like raise your hand, feel free to do that. And I'll bring you on audio and you can ask a question that way as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so the definition of stress. So I've put a few little definitions here that I found on Merriam-Webster and just on, on some other sites. A feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure, or a state of mental tension and worry caused by problems in your life or work, etc., or something that causes strong feelings or worry or anxiety. The good news is that you're not powerless to manage stress if you focus on what is in your control. So the difference between someone who's stressed and someone who is not stressed, it's not the level of stress in their lives, it's actually how they respond to stress. So once we can manage our inner state, then we can learn to make good choices. And we can't always change how things are on the outside, but we can change the inner world And we experience the outer world differently when we do that. Okay. So stress is a feeling we all experience when we're challenged or overwhelmed, but it's more than just an emotion. It's a hardwired physical response that travels through your entire body. And in the short term, stress can be helpful, like I said, but if it's activated too often or for too long, it not only changes your brain, but also damages many other organs and cells in your body. And stress has the power to make us physically sick. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about good stress versus bad stress. So I have a little graphic here. And like I said, stress isn't always bad. As I mentioned in the beginning, we need that to stay alive in dangerous situations. There's that fight or flight response. We get that cortisol going and, we can get out of a bad situation. But stress can also be good. So it's basically focusing on positive versus the negative response. So when stress is good, you get a positive response. You feel inspired, motivated, and energized. You also can feel focused and alert. And the good stress allows you to explore edges of your comfort zone, which allows you to learn and grow and get stronger. Now, on the other hand, if you have bad stress, you get that negative response. You feel weak, you feel worried or demoralized. You're distracted and scattered, and you don't want to challenge yourself, so you won't grow and learn. Your cortisol and adrenaline go up, and you can even experience muscle loss and fat gain. Your blood sugar, your immunity, metabolism, sleep, and your sex hormones can be disrupted as well. And too little stress keeps you from reaching your potential, but too much stress can harm your health. So the key is finding that sweet spot. And that's why I have this graphic on here. You're trying to get to the top of that curve, like where you're rocking it. Okay. So, if you are lethargic, bored, unfocused, or directionless, your stress level is probably a little too low. But if you're anxious, obsessed, depressed, panicked, stuck, or numb, then your stress level is too high. But if you are feeling energized and engaged and interested, and you're actively moving towards your goals, which means you're learning and growing, you've hit your sweet spot. So I'm curious what you guys are actually stressed about. Do you experience stress on a daily basis? I think we all experience a certain level, but I'm curious, do you guys know what your top 2 or 3 stressors are? And let me know in the chat if you would like to share. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. And just to be honest, there are many different ways you can experience stress. I mean, you have the mental and emotional stress that we're all used to, but there are things, for example, being cold in a cold room, or waking up at an unusual time, or making poor food choices. That's all part of stress as well. It's all stressing your body. And Ellen stating, yes, work pressure and family pressure. Thanks, Ellen. Chris is saying work pressure, being able, of not working out, being able not to, work out. Yeah, those are all stressors. And how do you feel and react when you're stressed? Because it can manifest in various ways. And each person has about a half a dozen symptoms that are unique to them, which you can learn to recognize because you have your own half dozen or so symptoms. Are you overwhelmed? Do you get crabby? Do you get headaches? Do you get tired? There's certain things that you can learn to say, okay, I'm stressed because I have, I have these symptoms. Okay, so Tina's saying get headache and nausea before getting out of bed. Yeah, that's a great example. And that's good that you know that. This is great. Thank you guys for responding. So let me know, how you feel when you get stressed. So Tina says she gets a headache. There are other physical symptoms as well, and I'm going to go into that. Ellen says shoulder and neck pain. Yeah, that's a pretty common one. I like to call it stress bod. Stress can affect how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And when we're stressed, it really does show in our bodies. And I've listed some of the physical symptoms here. So stress can tighten your muscles and make your nerves more sensitive, which leads to soreness throughout your body. Like Ellen said, shoulder and neck pain, or Tina, headache, and even nausea. And it's listed here. Sensitive nerves may also affect your gut and can cause issues with digestion. And you may even experience heartburn, stomach aches, and diarrhea. And you can find it more difficult to exercise or recover from exercise if you're stressed. You may also experience a foggy brain, or you can't concentrate. You keep getting sick due to inflammation and a drop in that white blood cell count. You may even gain weight or just have trouble losing weight as you fight cravings due to a drop in leptin, which is our satiety hormone, and a rise in ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone. And your metabolism may slow down, and you may actually experience issues with your sex drive, which I've already mentioned earlier. So in the end, too much stress is not really a good thing. So what can we do about it? Well, first, we can take a look at the factors that increase your risk of getting stressed out. So I've listed some things here. This is by all means not an all-inclusive list, but number one, the pandemic. I think we felt that the last couple of years. You get stressed by by the environment, by what's going on in society right now. Another thing is conflict with loved ones. Finances, that can be a big stressor. Having an endless to-do list, or continuous worrying about something, and even overuse of stimulants like caffeine and drugs. Your work environment can stress you out. If you're not getting enough rest and recovery, that will also add stress. And you know me, like I'm the sleep coach. Sleep and relaxation allow the body to adapt, repair, and go stronger. So if you don't give yourself enough downtime, you actually grow weaker. And also, I have it listed here, being more stress sensitive. And what I mean by that is, are you in an environment where you get support, or are you in isolation? Are you an optimistic person versus a pessimistic person? And how are your coping skills? And then also another thing about your environment, is it a soothing environment that you're in, or are you in one of those go, go, go settings? All of those things can make you more stress sensitive. So these factors that I listed here can increase your risk of stress. But let's talk about the hidden stressors, because there's also those, and those are things you may not even think about that will stress you out. And so I've listed a bunch here. Again, not a complete list, but some of these things don't feel stressful, but that doesn't mean they're not providing stress or giving you stress. So frequent use of social media, obsessive news consumption, high air pollution, and excessive noise. If you are one that has to travel frequently, if you like intense exercise, but you're not recovering properly, if you have food intolerances, if you have high caffeine intake or high alcohol intake, and if you're one of those people that are always on text and email and responding immediately, that will also be a stressor. Having a long commute in traffic, unhappy relationships, lack of confidence, and comparing yourself to others, those will all cause stress in your life. And they're all factors that will increase your stress. So I don't know, do you guys relate to any of these? I find it interesting that, sometimes you don't even think about this kind of stuff, but they do. Even though they may just be little bits of stress, they will add up and increase your stress level. So we can talk about now about how we can track our stressors and symptoms. So one way to keep tabs on your stress levels is to keep a journal. And I suggest doing it for a couple of weeks and see what you come up with. So this is a very simple journal that I suggest. Each morning, track what time you wake up and how you feel when you wake up. Like Tina had mentioned, sometimes she gets a headache and nausea when you're getting out of bed. Write that down, keep a journal of that. How did you sleep the night before? And if you do track your heart rate, or if you have like one of those smartwatches, track your heart rate and even track your temperature. And then throughout the day, track what you eat and drink. It doesn't have to be very detailed, but just keep an eye on what you're eating and drinking and how you're feeling throughout the day. And then all those hidden stressors that I just mentioned, what kind of exposure have you had to those, during that day? Write them down. And then each evening, write down what time you go to sleep and how you feel when you go to bed. What do you feel like? Are you exhausted? Do you have a headache or whatever? Those are good things to track. And so that's one way. There are other ways you can tackle stress as well. And some of these are going to be quite, common and, duh. But number one, talk to a therapist. Obviously, talking to a therapist or anybody is good. Sometimes it's just helping to talk to somebody. Try limiting exposure to news 1 to 2 times a day. That's something that may work for you guys. And ask for help when you need it. So if you are feeling stress at work, talk to a supervisor or a coworker. If you're feeling stressed out at home, ask family and friends for help. Another thing you can try is time boxing social media. Only go on social media certain times of the day and for only so long. And then I have here time box your worry time. Now, you may need me to explain that a bit, but I like to use the example if you have something like financial stress. So say when you start thinking about finances, you start getting stressed. So what you may want to try is blocking time in your calendar to review your budget or do those tasks like paying bills. And that way it's in your calendar and then that's going to stress you out a bit, but at least it's time boxed and you can handle that. You're prepared for it. You can also block your calendar for difficult conversations. If you know you have to have a difficult conversation, plan it. That way you can prepare for it. Some other things you can try are outsourcing your least favorite chores. One of the biggest things you could try is, hire cleaners or, just little things that you can pass off and have others do, outsource if you can. And then establish boundaries. So some examples here could be like not checking work messages after 7 p.m. You're turning off the work. Scheduling you time is another thing that you can have a boundary that this is your time and nothing comes in between you and your time. You can automate less important decisions. And what I mean by this is, let's take an example. I'm going to take food as an example. Eat the same thing every day for breakfast. It's something that becomes almost, a habit for you, and it's not something you have to think about. So something like that. Even meal planning is another thing around food. Plan your meals for the week, get the groceries in, what you have. Some people even go as far as, preparing the little everything in advance, cutting everything up. So you just have it ready during the week. So those are what I mean by automating the less important decisions. And you also want to consider breaking up with toxic and chronic stressors. So a big example here is toxic relationships. If you have any of those relationships with a partner or friends or whatever, remove them from your life if they're really that toxic. So those are just some examples. So, once you know your stressors, it's time to make a plan around dealing with those stressors. Okay, so if you want a plan that will work, you can try some of the following that I have listed here. So you want to set effective goals. And you want the goals to be specific and measurable and challenging but realistic, and then broken down into small actions. And then focused on process versus outcome. Okay, and then you can document them either daily, weekly, or monthly, whatever works. And then start with one action each day and commit to it for the next 2 weeks. And be sure it's something you're confident you can do. And then you want to track your progress. We're back into journaling again a little bit. You can tell I like the journaling. And do you feel different when you're going through the process? Do you look different? What have you learned from it? And what are you proud of? And what frustrations did you have? So there are some questions you can ask yourself. And you can also spend time with a coach or a mentor. And you want to spend time with someone you admire and someone who will hold you accountable. And this makes the process of change and growth much easier when you're not doing it by yourself. So this is obviously a general plan, but I want to get a little more specific. So you need to find some stressors that will work for you uniquely. And if you don't know what will work for you, then you can try this little process I put here. Think of it as a series of experiments. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick one practice to try, and I'm going to give you a whole list of practices after this, like in a minute, and you can try one of them. And then again, track your progress. So as I mentioned earlier, pull out that journal, start tracking your morning throughout the day and, how you feel at bedtime. And see if it makes a difference. After 14 days, at least 14 days, look at your journal and how is the change working when you've added that one practice in? And then after that, repeat it with a new practice and see how that works for you. Okay, because I'm going to give you a whole list of things you can try, and not everything is going to work for everyone. So that's why I'm going to give you a whole bunch, and hopefully you can find a few that work for you. Okay, so now I'll get into that. I want to give you the top tips, and I have a load of them. So some of these may be familiar and others may be less familiar. So I'll spend a little more time on some than others, but hopefully you'll be able to get something new out of this. So the first thing I would suggest is just accept it, right? There are going to be things that happen to you that you cannot control or change. So what you need to do is really just let it go, because worrying about it can lead to feelings of high anxiety and can cause physical illness. You do need to feel it, but you don't want to avoid or deny what's going on either. You want to go within and listen to what your feelings are telling you. I like to say what we resist persists, but you don't want to control the uncontrollable. You can't, it won't work. So you have to learn to forgive and let go, because worrying will not change the outcome. So there basically are two primary choices in life. You either accept conditions as they exist, or you accept the responsibility for changing them. So you really need to decide which way you're going to go. And if you cannot make the change, then it's not worth it. So that's one. Another thing you can try is having a positive attitude. So give positive messages to yourself instead of defaulting to negative ones by reframing perspective. So instead of thinking or saying negative statements like nothing goes right for me, or bad things always happen to me, or I can't do it, you want to give yourself positive messages like I'm doing my best, I'll ask for help when I need it, or I can do whatever I put my mind to. Because thoughts and worries are fueled by our own perception of events. So you want to focus on the good, and then more good will come your way. And this is important. However stressful the situation has been for you, you want to find at least one positive, no matter how small, one positive thing that helps, it will help you wire your brain to refocus your attention and reframe our skewed perspective. So you want to make sure whatever stressful situation it is, just try to find one positive aspect of it. Be grateful. So keep a gratitude journal. Here I am with the journal again, to help you remember of all the things that are good in your life, and aim for at least writing down 3 things a day. Even more is better if you want to. But being grateful for your blessings will cancel out any negative thoughts and worries. And this really does work. I used to do this when a long time ago when I was seeing a therapist, and she said at the end of each day, write 3 things that you're grateful for. And it really does work. And the nice thing is, when you're feeling stressed, you can look back on your notes and remind yourself what really matters. So an attitude of gratitude can reduce the stress hormone, or cortisol levels, by 23%. And science shows that when a person is focused on gratitude, the brain looks completely different versus focusing on anger and hate. It's very interesting. Manage your time. Okay, so this is probably a no-brainer, but it's a difficult task. It's not easy to do. You want to give yourself plenty of time to get things done, and stop rushing, and make sure you breathe and be where you are. Just remember, you're always where you're supposed to be at this very moment, and every experience and step is necessary. And you don't want to schedule yourself in back-to-back meetings throughout your day. You want to give yourself some time cushion, because if you're running late because another meeting ran late, you're just going to get yourself stressed out. And you want to be proactive and not reactive. So you want to identify which factors in a stressful situation are under your control and let go of what isn't. And then another good thing is to schedule short breaks and stick to that schedule throughout the day, because these breaks interspersed throughout the day can amp up your focus and clear your mind and keep you a little less stressed. And then relax. So take time out and choose blocks of time when you go offline from email and phone and whatever, texting, and learn to say no and schedule quiet time for yourself, either for relaxation or meditation or journaling or reflection. And don't overcommit yourself. And one of the main reasons for fatigue from stress is overwork. And overwork isn't just work. It can include professional, family, and social obligations. So you can try to streamline a list of must-do activities and then set your priorities regarding the most important tasks and keep it at 3 to 5 per day. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the saying, eat the frog, but you want to do the least appealing task first and get it out of the way. And then pare down the tasks that are less important and consider asking for extra help to get those tasks done. And then take responsibility for your choices. And what I want to say here is that life isn't going to slow down. So we need to make a conscious effort to slow down for ourselves. And if there's not enough time in your daily schedule to take good care of yourself, then something needs to be removed from your calendar, because taking good care of yourself needs to be one of your top daily priorities. And finding balance is key, because failure to do so could lead to burning out, and you don't want to do that. So if you got the right schedule in place, then you can relax appropriately. And I'm going fast through this, so stop me if you have any questions. I'll keep an eye on the chat. Okay, again, the journal. I love journaling, I guess. But this is a little different from what I was talking about before, but you can add this to the journal I mentioned earlier when you're keeping track of morning, through the day, and at night. But here, I mean, this is when you go through a stressful experience. What I want you to do is write down what happened. So write down what happened during that stressful experience and think about what may have caused it. And think about what you think caused it. And is it true? And then how did you feel physically and emotionally? Did you get any symptoms? Did you have headache, butterflies in your stomach? Were you angry? Did you have your pulse rate was going fast? And then how well did you handle that event? Did your actions help or make things worse? And then document anything you did to make you feel better. And then what I want you to do is analyze and put together an action plan to make manage similar situations in the future. So that way you're starting to build your plan and, planning for future stressors that will come. Be mindful. So mindfulness allows you to focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment, without interpretation and without judgment. So practicing mindfulness involves breathing methods and guided imagery and other practices to relax the body and mind to help reduce the stress. And there are some simple ways you can practice mindfulness. And I'm going to go over some of them coming down. There will be down on this list in the next couple of slides. But some things are just as simple as paying attention to your surroundings at any given time and living in the moment. And then being able to accept yourself. And then at any given moment, focus on your breathing when you need to. Meditation, that's another way that you can be mindful. But this, I have it as its own because, it can really help ease anxiety and stress. And research suggests that daily meditation can alter the brain's neural pathways, making you more resilient to stress. So it's really easy to meditate. You don't have to do a lot. I actually am not good at meditation. I do different things instead. This is one of those tips that just doesn't really work well for me. But if you try it, just sit up straight, close your eyes and focus on your breath or some positive mantra, such as I feel at peace or whatever you want to say to yourself. And then when other thoughts come your way, you just have to acknowledge them and then send them along because you can think about them later. And then it doesn't have to be long. You can do it for 1 minute. You can do it throughout the day, like 1 minute, 5 times a day. And then you can increase it if it's working for you. Another good way to meditate is to stare at a candle as well. If you can't get those thoughts out of your mind, I find by looking at a candle flame really just, zones me out and just lets me relax. Deep breathing is another one that's really good. You can take a 2 to 5 minute break and focus on your breathing and just noting how it feels to breathe in and out. And what this does is it counters the effects of stress by slowing the heart rate and lowering blood pressure. And I'm not going to go into all the breathing techniques because there are tons of them, but there are many different kinds where that you can try. You can just focus on the breathing, regular breathing, along with something like 4-7-8 breath or box breath, which is the 4-4-4 breath, 4-4-4-4. There's so many different kinds, but if you want more information on that, I do have a handout I can provide if you want to learn more about that. Exercise and movement, do it daily. And, I don't know if you know this, but exercise is one of the most potent and underutilized antidepressants. So, and when I say exercise, I don't just mean going to the gym or going out for a run. It can be any type of physical activity that you do every day, whether it's dancing in your living room, walking, hiking, jogging, Tai Chi, Pilates, yoga, whatever. Whatever it is that gets you up and moving. And the reason why is your body can fight stress better when it's fit. So fear, anger, numbness, sadness, these are all emotional states that affects your physical well-being. And you need to be ready to cope with it and overcome the emotions. And being fit will help with that. And science has shown that when you participate in physical activities, you activate your body chemistry and unite your mind and body so they can work together effectively. So the key here is to find movement and exercise that you enjoy doing and don't mind doing every day. And like I said, it can be as simple as taking a walk around the block or taking the stairs instead of the elevator or parking farther away from the entrance so you get a little more, some more steps in. Yoga. So yoga can really help reduce stress because it lowers your blood pressure and lowers your heart rate. And almost anyone can do it. And what it does is it brings the mind and body in harmony and helps manage our inner state, which is important to deal with the outer state or the environment. So once we learn how to manage our inner state, it affects our relationships with family, work, and with ourselves. And then schedule fun time. So we can reduce stress by programming more relaxation activities into our day. So for some people, exercise and stuff are actually fun for them and work for them. But for others, it could be listening to music or reading a novel or just talking to somebody on the phone or whatever. So whatever is relaxing for you, it will work because it will reduce tension and will help you increase energy. So you want to do things that are pleasurable and do it on a weekly basis, at least more if you can. And then, another thing you can try is make sure you take time to laugh, because a good belly laugh doesn't just lighten the load mentally. It actually lowers cortisol and boosts our endorphins, which help our mood. So I don't know if you've ever heard of laughter yoga, but that's something I've done it once. It's very interesting and it's funny when you get in a room and laugh with everybody. It's just contagious. Talk to a friend. So seek out social support from your friends, family, and coworkers. So, talk face to face if you can, but if you can't, then talk on the phone or get on a Zoom call or something and just share with them what's going on in your life. I always like to say a problem shared is a problem halved. So you may also get a fresh perspective on your situation that you're dealing with, and it will just help you alleviate some of the pain you may be going through. And you can also help someone else by just listening to them, because this teaches us how to put our own life into perspective and reminds us that we're all connected to other people. And then sleep. I was going to talk about sleep. Your body needs time to recover from stressful events. So self-control, focus, and memory, they're all reduced when you don't get enough sleep. And when you sleep, your body restores and repairs everything from the day. When you're tired or stressed, your body will crave that energy. And the cravings are often a result of being sleep deprived, going to bed late, and waking up early for months and years on end. So, some things you can do in that journal: write out what's stressing you or keeping you up at night before heading to bed. And if you want more information on sleep, I have a whole workshop on that. If you haven't seen it yet, I have a replay. Reach out to me and I will send you a link to the replay if you're interested in it. Let's see, what's next on my list? Oh, essential oils. So essential oils are good. You can, breathe them in just from the bottle. You can add them to your bath. You can wear on jewelry or use them in a diffuser. And some of the best essential oils known to help reduce stress are lavender, rose, vetiver, ylang ylang, bergamot, chamomile, and frankincense. And take a bath. And yes, it feels luxurious anyway, but they are actually good for your health. So you can add a cup of Epsom salts with your favorite essential oils to add minerals and more relaxation to your bath. And if you want to add Epsom salts and other things, just remember this, there's a formula you can remember. It's 2-2-20. So 2 cups Epsom salts, 2 cups of baking soda for 20 minutes. Getting a massage. I think this is, kind of a no-brainer as well. Massage therapy can help reduce pain, promote muscle relaxation, and improve both your mood and sleep quality. And one study found that after subjects were massaged, the level of cortisol in their saliva decreased. And then spend time outside because nature can help relieve stress, improve your mood, and boost feelings of happiness and well-being. So we have we have a deep connection with nature, and research has shown that if we don't nourish that bond, we do suffer. So a stroll in the woods has been shown to help combat depression, and even just a view of the forest from a hospital room has helped patients who are feeling down. So think about the times when you took a walk in nature. How did it make you feel? I mean, it's usually hard to be sad, mad, and depressed when you're out in nature. It just helps calm our nerves. And then eat real food. So stress can cause emotional eating and make it harder to resist cravings for unhealthy foods. And stress is connected to weight gain. High cortisol levels and stress encourage fat storage, particularly in our lower belly area. So you want to avoid or limit processed foods because they tend to lack the nutrients your body needs, and specifically minerals that assist the nerves, like magnesium and potassium, which are found in fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And adaptogens help the body naturally adapt to stressors. So an example is maca root. It's an adaptogen, and due to its unique properties, it's considered one of the world's natural superfoods. You want to eat healthy fats, eat more vegetables, and sneak in protein at every meal. And then you want to limit caffeine and alcohol. Caffeine is a stimulant, and it binds to our receptors in the brain that causes inflammation and fatigue. And alcohol is a depressant, meaning it slows down the function of the nervous system. And like caffeine, it can contribute to anxiety and depression. And then water. So I don't know if you know this, but one of the first signs of dehydration is feeling tired or exhausted. That's right. So not drinking enough water could be the reason your energy levels are lacking and you feel exhausted. So even being slightly dehydrated decreases your mental energy and can impair your memory. So you want to keep your brain hydrated. And if you're wondering how much water you should drink per day, there's an easy rule or calculation. You want to take your body weight, divide it by 2, and that is the number of ounces you should drink in a day. So to make it easy, if you weigh 100 pounds, which I don't think any of my kids do anymore, but anyway, make it easy. If you weigh 100 pounds, you should be drinking 50 ounces of water each day. If you're 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water each day. And if you don't like the taste of water or the lack of taste of water, you can add mint, berries, lemon or lime, or essential oils even to make it taste better. Just don't add any sugary type stuff. And another tip is right when you wake up, drink a full glass of water. I prefer drinking lemon water or lemon with water with essential oil, lemon essential oil in it, the first thing, even before I have my coffee. Another tip is to drink a full glass of water before each meal. And if you are having a craving, drink a big glass of water first, wait 5 minutes, and then see if you still have that craving. Because a lot of times our body's just craving water because it's dehydrated. And then ask for support. You don't have to do this by yourself. If you if you want a different result in your life, then you need to take a different type of action if it isn't working for you. So you can ask for support from a coach like me that helps you stay aligned with the small achievable goals and help the support along the way. You can ask for friends, ask for help from friends and family as well. And if you're interested in learning more, I'd be happy to give you 15 minutes, 30 minutes of my time to, if you need help. And then follow up. So we're more accountable when we share our plans and goals with another person. And then if we write it down too. So we add more accountability, the more people we tell and ask for their support on achieving your goal. So I suggest, writing down an action plan and putting a calendar in your phone with reminders for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 28 days, and even 45 days. And that helps keep you going. And if you feel yourself slipping, that's okay. Just keep going. Okay, those are all my tips. I know I gave you a lot of information, so I hope you learned something new. So I'm curious, and I'd love to know in the chat if there's one thing. First of all, I want to know if there's anything new that you saw here. But also I'd like to know if there's one thing that you're going to commit to do differently to manage your stress. And one thing I would suggest is choose low-hanging fruit first, something that you may have done in the past that would be easy to be successful at again. Because once we're successful with adding a small habit that we know we can do, it's easier to continue to add more habits into our life. So if you would like some help and support, I'd love to tell you about my upcoming free 5-day Stress Buster Challenge that I'm going to be running in March. So it starts Monday, March 7th and runs for 5 days, Monday through Friday. You will have access. I'm going to create a Facebook group. And if you don't have Facebook, it's not a big deal because I will send out an email every day. You'll receive daily email messages from me with everything you need. And it's going to include daily lessons, some habits, some tools to help you succeed, and check-ins to keep you accountable and motivated. And I will be hosting a few live Q&A sessions as well throughout the week. And I'm probably going to hand out some prizes as well. So I have the link here, and I'll put it in the chat as well. If you are interested in signing up, it's just going to, give me your name and email address, so then I can get you on the email list to start it on March 7th. And I think that's all I had. Yeah. So here's how you can reach me. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat right now or the Q&A box. And I'm going to check Facebook real quick. I don't know. Okay. Kaylee's watching. I don't know if she still is, but hey, Kaylee. Basically, if you want to reach out to me, my website's the best way to contact me. I keep it the most up to date, ntlrx.com. I'm going to put some information in the chat for you. In the meantime, do you have any questions? If so, feel free to let me know. If you come up with any questions afterwards, feel free to send me an email or reach out to me on social media. I put my Facebook group in here in case you're not in my Facebook group, Fabulous Over 40. You're more than welcome to join it if you like. I go live into that group from here as well. And yeah. Oh, Chris said, great presentation, very encompassing. Thank you, Chris. I tried to give you guys as much information as I could. You know me, I like to give out a lot of information. I'm a little bit geeky that way. So I hope you guys were able to get some information, some new stuff. And if you don't have any questions, then I will let you guys get back to your evening. And I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to hear some feedback from you. If you have any feedback for me on the presentation, I'd love to hear it as well. This is the first time I ran through this, so I would love some feedback and comments. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening. Thank you, Tina. And have a great night and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.